I don't think India is ever going to catch up to Taiwan or really be a major player in semiconductor manufacturing. I mean, it's not what the Indians want to hear, but I think that's the reality. But there is something that they can do, and that is they can get in the game and they can learn from Taiwan's experience in other areas. The challenges are just so many. It takes a lot of money. I mean, it takes billions and billions of dollars, but you need more than that. You need talent. You need the semiconductor manufacturing talent. India has very good design talent, process talent, but they don't really have a history of manufacturing of semiconductors. And without that history, it's very hard to foster the talent that you need to develop an industry. There are many Indian nationals and Indian trained engineers who are working in the United States and in Taiwan and other places. And of course, they could go back to India and work there and help develop the industry. But the challenges are just so many that India would need to think very, very carefully about whether overcoming those challenges is possible or even necessary or desirable.
Of course, India isn't alone in dreaming the semiconductor dream. In fact, China has had about a decade's head start in chasing this dream, but has yet to fully succeed. So why has China failed, and what has India learned from their example?
I think the example from China is that you can't just throw money at a problem and believe that you'll solve it. Semiconductors are really, really hard. China spent a lot of time and money trying to catch up, and they've done okay. They're still trailing, and they'll probably be trailing for a long time to come. And one of the reasons why is they don't necessarily have the history of semiconductor manufacturing. And so India is going to face those struggles as well if they try to get into that game. They're going to face the fact that you can throw money at the problem, but you won't necessarily get your desired outcomes. And so India should hopefully learn from China and learn that, money won't solve the problem, and they're going to have to build up a lot more than a large bank of money that they can throw at it.
So if India is unlikely to become the next Taiwan, what would you suggest is a more realistic path for them to move their economy up the value chain?
In the last 20 years, India has brought forth this idea of being a semiconductor manufacturing country. This is, the recent talks that we're hearing aren't the first time. What we're hearing recently is that the Indian government is willing to spend billions of dollars to try and lure some Taiwanese companies to set up shop in India. But, past examples have shown that it's been very difficult, and they've, to put it bluntly, that fell. And I believe that's because they're focusing on the front end. But there's a very important industry and a very important part of the semiconductor supply chain, which happens on what we call the back end, which is testing and packaging of semiconductors. Now, this is an area that does take technical prowess and skill, but it is not as high end and is a little bit more labor intensive than the front end. I think that's a really good opportunity for India. They have good skilled technicians. They've got a very good education system. And so they'd have a very good chance of learning from the Taiwanese on the back-end packaging and testing industry, and they could actually become a viable player in that industry. That would also help the downstream part of the sector. So if India was to focus on the back-end part of semiconductors instead of the front end, I think that's a part of the industry that really will have a good shot.